că sunt 20 de persoane care au primit deja maxim și în curând vor deveni 200. M-ar interesa dacă există vreo femeie printre aceste persoane.
Это на румынском, по-моему, да?
I think it's Romania. She's from Romania. And she asks whether there are students that crossed the barrier. She says she heard from you that there are 20 people that have done that. So, and whether there are women who cross the barrier and who will cross the barrier. Nowadays, in our life, in this life, in the bodies, there are many dozens of men who cross the barrier and are Kabbalists. There are such that you can feel, that you can communicate with, and those that don't want to, which conceal themselves in such a way that you cannot determine whether they're in spiritual state or not. Whereas what concerns women who are above the barrier, there are such representatives of in our world that are on the borderline. They're all over the place, below and above. I don't want to confuse you, but I can say that I can see women clearly above that barrier in the spiritual world. They are around it, somewhere next to it. The barrier is not something that is forever. It's a state that a person needs to live through, he needs to go through in all of his or her states, in various states. It is a certain examination of a human being that takes certain time. I can't say that there are women that have accomplished that, but there are such that are quite close to that, and I think at least it's real. It's very, very real, and I don't see any difference between men and women in that. I don't see at all. It's the same cases with men. But for men, it's on one hand it's more difficult. On the other hand, it's not so. Women has difficulties, and men have an easier path to it. And everybody has advantages and disadvantages. Just as in our life, in certain instances, you prefer to be a man, or you would like to be a woman. And I think that this year, starting from this fall, is going to be critical in relation to our circulation and advancement of man towards spiritual in the world in general. And there, that part would be clarified. That number of people that are next, approaching the barrier, and I think these people will be able to cross over. Most importantly, not to depend on man, rely on man.
Everything depends on individual work, because an enormous amount of Kabbalists, corrected souls, already exist in this general system, this common soul. An enormous amount of people, men and women, just striving toward quality of bestowal, toward connection, towards loving thy neighbor as thyself, towards balance, toward the Creator, toward emerging with Him, toward ascending above their egoism. They are in this motion. The common Kli is ready, and it's constantly developing, and it only depends on the extent to which a person will want to connect with it, just to release, to give himself over to this idea, so that this idea, this motion toward the Creator, this merging with Him, the revelation of the Creator, of the quality of bestowal, His love to Himself, for this to be the most important. If a person strives toward this, he opens a book and he begins to study it differently. He already searches for the light, the correcting force, which acts on him, which corrects him. It's said that I created egoism and created the Torah for its correction, because the light returns it to its source, according to the same principle that we studied before. If I am an egoist, if I see I'm an egoist, then I take the book that's called the Torah, the light, in translation, or Ora, instruction, and I call forth with my correct study, because I'm studying why. I'm studying in order to call forth this light, to evoke this light onto myself. Then in every moment, in opening a book, it tells me how I can correct myself. I open a book, it tells me about how I will be when I'm corrected. It only talks about this, because what is the Torah talking about? It's talking about the upper world, and that's it. The upper world is me in my corrected state, us in our corrected state, only this. So, if I'm striving towards this, aspiring towards this state, I receive the Or Makif, and my aspiration is called Man, Me Nukvin. In other words, the ascent of my desire toward and then this light corrects me. I receive Mad in return. I created egoism, says the Creator, and I created the light for its correction, because the light which is inside of it corrects you and brings you to the source, to the Creator, and you attain merging with Him. And that's it. So there is nothing else. Only this is our single instrument. This schematic is the only thing that a person has. Don't try to think of anything. You don't need knowledge. You don't need all sorts of actions. You don't need anything except one thing. Aspire to understand who we are. I created egoism. This is the initial state. This is given to me by the Creator. The Creator speaks of this. I created egoism. Nothing that's inside me. Nothing that's inside me I should be ashamed of. He made me this way. Yes, I'm an egoist. I use everybody for myself. I think only about myself. I will use them just to the end of the world. This is how I'm created. Initially. What am I supposed to do with this then? Now, turn to Him, and He will correct you. That's it. In general, it's a very simple condition, but it's difficult for a person, because then a person, pulls it onto himself that I'm an egoist, I'm bad, or in the opposite, I'm good, without the connection to the Creator. In order to place this, to establish this connection correctly, we need the group. We can't do this without the correct environment.